This is the second video for this week's Spiral Review, where I will go over the backside of the Spiral Review worksheet. So this is the first problem on the back, dividing decimals. Multiple students on the first day that they got this worksheet asked me for assistance with this. So let's go through this one in detail. So here we have 9.48 divided by 1.5. Most students right away understood that we're going to write it in some form like this. The problem with this is that we don't like when there's a decimal there in the number that's outside. That is a problem. It's okay to have a decimal on the inside, not okay to have a decimal on the outside. So if you can recall what we did, so I'm going to set it up again. Is we can move this decimal out of this number. So instead of a 1.5, we're just going to make it a 15. The problem, the resulting consequence is that if you move that decimal, you have to move this decimal the same number of times. So notice that I'm not getting rid of it completely. I only moved it once because I moved this one once. I only moved this one once because I moved this one once. I didn't move this one twice. So now I'm going to rewrite it as 94.8 divided by 15. That is a little easier to work with. So multiples of 15, I'm just looking at a multiplication chart. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, and then I'll do one more, 105. So now, how many times does 15 go into 9? Well, 9 is too small, so how many times does 15 go into 94? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 90 is the biggest number before I pass. So 6 times. And I'm going to subtract 90. 4 minus 0 is 4. 9 minus 9 is 0. Don't need to put that there. Bring down the next digit. So now how many times does 15 go into 48? 1, 2, 3. 45 is the biggest number before I pass 48. So 3. And then I'm going to subtract 45. 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now remember, we're more mature and more intelligent now. We're not going to stop here and say, oh, 63 remainder 3. No, we know that we can add a 0 without changing the value. So now I get to bring down a 0. Some of you may be wondering, why didn't I add a decimal? That's because there's already a decimal right here. So we don't add a second decimal. So how many times does 15 go into 30? 1, 2. 30 minus 30 is 0. That's how I know I'm done. And then the one thing I did forget is that since there's a decimal right here, there needs to be a decimal right above that in my answer as well. So 9.48 divided by 1.5, that equals 6.32. And that's how you divide decimals. Remove the decimal from the number on the outside. As a result, you have to move the decimal on the number on the inside the same number of times, and then go through the long division. Hopefully that was understandable. And let's move on. Surface area. Surface area. Surface area is from volume. Some students did write this just on what I saw. Volume equals length times width times height. That's volume, though. That is not surface area. Two completely different things. Surface area is what is the area all around. So if you remember, surface area is where we draw each side. So this is going to be the front. That means there's a back piece to it. Then I'll do the left side. That means there's a right side. And then the top, that means there's a bottom. So since the cube has 6 sides. And then this is where I use the highlighter method. So I highlight each line in its own color. So since these are all horizontal, they're all doing green. All the diagonal ones I'll do in red. Sorry, my mistake, didn't click on the red. And all the vertical I'll do in yellow. So now over here, I'm just gonna label them very quickly. Front. This is back. Left side. Right side. Top. Bottom. So now with that, I can go through. So remember, this is where we kind of take a second to visualize. This is the front. What two colors are the front outlined in? They're outlined in green and yellow. Green and yellow. If I trace the front, I only touch the green and yellow. And then if we can remember, the backside would have the same colors. Then we go to the right and left. So I can see the right, so I'm going to trace the right. What two colors am I tracing? The red and yellow. Red and yellow. So red is the bottom, and then the vertical lines are the yellow. And then if I trace the top and bottom, so in this case the top is what we see, I'm tracing green and red. Green and red. So now I match up the dimensions. So here in the front, the green lines are 5 centimeters, the yellow lines are 4 centimeters. Green is 5, yellow is 4. Green is 5, yellow is 4. Since I'm adding, I'm going to label all the yellows 4, and all the greens 5. And then the reds, I'll label them all 3. And then how do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. So 5 times 4 is 20. Wrong thing moved. Since the front and the back are the same, I just duplicated it. Left would be 3 times 4, which is 12. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this for the right side. And then the top, 3 times 5, which is 15. I'm going to duplicate this. So that's the area of each side, each surface. But since it's asking for the total surface area, my last step is to add all of these together. 20 plus 20, 12, 12, 15, 15. So on the right side, 0 plus 0, 0, plus 2 is 2, 4, 9, 14. 1 plus 2, 3, plus 2, 5, plus 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the total surface area is 94 square, what are the units? Centimeters. Or you can also use this notation, centimeters squared with an exponent. And that's how you find surface area. Remember, you find the area of each side, each surface. Moving on. Write an expression. So this you're just translating. Remember, this is where we were translating. Take 7 away from n. So if I'm taking something away, that's subtraction. I'm taking it from n, so n minus 7. A increased by 14, so A and then increase plus 14. I'll let you do the last two. What does product mean? What does quotient mean? Evaluate, this is where you substitute. So that's the only thing I will assist you with. Remember, substitute means the variables come out, let numbers go in. So W comes out, and it says put 8 in there. Minus 19 plus K. K comes out, 9 goes in. From this point forward, follow order of operations. So you can write down PEMDAS to assist you. Exponents, so expanded form. Remember, expanded form means write it out in its, well, expanded means the long way. An exponent is a short way of writing a big multiplication problem. So the exponent is telling me multiply this 5 times. This is being multiplied 5 times, so that's what I have here. Standard form means what answer do you get? So what's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1? And then 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. You can do that on your paper, but I'm not going to give you that answer. You can solve that on your own. And then the last problem, dividing fractions. Remember, that is impossible. We cannot divide fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. And that's all I'll give you. You should have lots of notes on that in your notebook. And if you don't have the notebook, Google it. Multiply by the reciprocal. You'll find it very quickly. All right, and that is the entire spiral review. If you have any questions or have any difficulties with anything I skipped, feel free to email me directly, stop by in the morning, whatever you got to do to get that help. Remember, this is due tomorrow. There should be no reason why it's not done and turned in tomorrow.